recording starting now. So this will all be saved. So you guys can go back if you missed something that I said, or if you wanted to go back and look at that PowerPoint one more time. If it's something you're interested in, I can also email you all this PowerPoint after class if there was stuff that you didn't get to write down or you missed as I was going over it. We're gonna go over a lot today, but I'm going to try not to be overwhelming, and we're going to take breaks because an hour and a half can be kind of a long time to sit and stare at this screen. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share with you guys, and we're going to get started. All right. So Alex, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay, I can see you guys as well. So Alex is going to be monitoring that chat, like I said earlier. I want you guys to meet Alex before we start. He is going to be teaching the cooking class that is tomorrow at 1 and Sunday at 10:30. So he's going to come around so you guys can see his face. Put my mask on since he's coming behind me.
Hey everybody.
This is Alex Klein. He is an educator at Camp Wallace, and he's been with us for...
I started at Camp Wallace as a counselor in 2015, and I started full-time as an educator last October, so almost 1 unit.
Almost 1 year. So he is going to be helping us out. Great guy. I hope you guys are taking his class as well because I'm helping with that one, so you'll see me twice. All right. So welcome to Virtual Edition 2020 Becoming an Outdoors Woman Weekend. This will be my second bow weekend that I'll be teaching. I've been with the department for almost 4 years now. Let's see, let me let Tia in. Sorry, I'm gonna have to let people in as we go, so sorry for the awkward pauses in advance. So let me mark her off the list. I'm marking you all off as you come in on request of Olivia. So let's move on. So first things first, introductions. You know, a big part of Becoming an Outdoors Woman Weekend, if you've done this before, is getting to know the other ladies in the class and getting to know your instructors. So the first things we're gonna do is we're gonna try to introduce ourselves. If that's something you're not comfortable with, that is okay. We can skip you. You can type it into the chat if you'd rather do that. But I'm just asking you a few questions, your name and what county you're from, and this could help people near you get together and become birding friends for life. Your favorite bird, if you have one, and why did you take this class, or why do you want to start birding, okay? So Leah, who is also a department employee, I know she's eager to go first, so she'll kick us off, okay?
All right, hi everyone. My name is Leah Graham, and I'm here in Franklin County, so Frankfort, Kentucky. My favorite bird, that's tough. I really like blue jays. I don't know, they're really pretty and they're very loud. So, and I hear them outside my house. So I also hear a lot of other birds. That's so reason 3, why did I want to start and take this class? I just wanted to learn more about all the birds that I see around town, and as well as, like Rachel said, I work at the department, so it's great information to have.
Thank you, Leah, for going first. April, you're next on my little screen here if you want to go.
Okay, my name is April, and I currently live in Mercer County. I'm but new to Mercer County as of about 2 months ago. My favorite bird, actually it's my husband and I's favorite bird, is the Carolina wren. We call it the cheater bird, the way it sings. And I also like it because it's teeny tiny bird and has a powerful song. So that's why I like that. But the reason I wanted to take this class was being new to Mercer County. We live out in the country now, and we've got birds everywhere, some that I've never seen before, some that I've never heard before. So I'm just looking forward to trying to figure out where they are, who they are, and being able to identify them a little bit better.
Awesome. I love Carolina wrens. They are my boyfriend's favorite bird as well because they're so tiny and plump. And we're going to go over them today. For those of you that don't know what they are, you will learn that one. All right, Kathy, you are next on my screen. Would you like to go? Oh, There you go. There you're good.
I'm Kathy Chinook, and I am currently live in Lincoln County on a farm. Grew up in Lexington, and my favorite bird is probably hummingbirds. We have a lot that come here, a lot of feeders out, but also love bluebirds as well. And I just want to know more about what's around me and the birds that I see every day.
Awesome. Okay, so I can only see 4 people on here. So if Sierra, you just joined us. Do you want to go? Introduce yourself, name and county, favorite bird.
Okay, hi everybody. I'm Sierra. I actually just started with Fish and Wildlife as working as a writer in December actually. So I'm pretty new to all of this stuff, but this is my first bow and everything. But I live in Franklin County, and I think my favorite bird, they're probably shorebirds. I like herons a lot, and like killdeer and all those cute little things. So those are my favorite. But
Thank you, Sierra. I love killdeers. They're so fun. They're so much fun. Okay, Renee, have you gone? There we go.
Sorry, I was trying to figure out how to unmute.
You're all right. You got it.
I'm in Montgomery County. My favorite bird is probably the blue jay. I just think it's gorgeous, and they're huge, and just they are a little bit loud, but I love them. I'm at Sierra actually. I did a mentored hunt with Olivia and Joe earlier this year, so I met Sierra there. For me, I'm taking the class. I want to know why all these birds hate my blue jay.
We will get into a little bit of feeder dynamics here in a few minutes, hopefully, if we have time. I got a lot of info for an hour and a half, so we'll see. But yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. Tia, I don't think I've heard from you. Would you like to go?
My name's Tia Murphy. I live in Pulaski County. This is my second bow event. My favorite bird, I would have to say, is a red-tailed hawk. They're beautiful. I love the sound of them. I love to watch them fly. I know that's kind of weird probably, and they are raptors, but they are beautiful.
They are. I love raptors, and we're going to talk a little bit about some raptors today, but if I could, I would make this entire class about raptors. They're some of my favorite birds, so I love hearing that from you guys. That's great. And everybody's so different so far. I love it. Okay, so I don't think I've heard from Rachel, and if you don't want to share, you do not have to whatsoever. Have we gotten any chats in, Alex?
Rachel said she has no video or audio on her PC.
Okay.
Said she's Rachel Gaffney from Fayette County.
Hold on. Can you guys hear Alex? Okay, keep going.
So it's Rachel Gaffney from Fayette County, and she likes the blue jay, says that would be her favorite. Her first word was bird.
Oh my
I say
gosh.
Jay. Her nickname is still Birdie. She's always enjoyed watching birds, but would like to know what she's watching for or hearing.
Okay, that is so awesome. I love that so much. That's such a good nickname. I'm jealous. Mine were not that good. Okay, so that's Rachel. Let's see. Have I heard from Melissa? Melissa, if you don't want to share, you don't have to. Alex is watching the chat. Just type in a quick note. Oh.
Yeah, I'm good. I've got audio. My video is being kind of weird, so.
Oh, no problem.
But yeah, my name is Melissa Napier. I live in Boone County, so lifetime resident of Northern Kentucky. I think, I like all songbirds and pretty much everything, and hawks and, whatever. But I kind of have a special place for woodpeckers, because I hear them in the woods behind me all the time. So yeah, that's the one I'll choose today.
Good deal. Woodpeckers are super cool. And in Kentucky, we have a lot of different species to check off your list. So those are a good bird to go out and look for. And then Anita, is Anita in here?
I'm here.
Would you like to share? You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, I'd be glad to.
Okay.
I'm Anita in Madison County. It's difficult to pick a But I like the osprey. They're fun to watch, hunt. And why do I want to start birding? I've always enjoyed watching birds. So if I could identify more of them, that's my goal tonight.
Perfect. Well, hopefully you'll learn a few. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Okay, and then Cynthia and Laura, I don't think I've heard from either one of you. If one of you all wants to go, feel free.
I can go. This is Laura. I live in Jessamine County. My favorite birds are probably owls. I just feel like they're really majestic. And I want to start birding. I have a 1-year-old daughter, and she's just now like, she loves to be outside, and she's just starting to recognize like the sounds of birds and things like that. And I don't know much about them. So I feel like it'd be to be able to tell her about what she's hearing and what she's interested in.
Oh, love that. That's great. Instill it from a young age. That's so awesome. Cynthia, would you like to go? Oh, Cynthia, you're muted. Hold on. Can you unmute yourself?
Yes.
Oh, it muted you again. Oh, no. There we go.
I had to go from my computer to my phone, so.
Oh, that's
it's
okay.
a little tiny screen.
Okay.
So I'm here in Illinois, Southern Illinois. And I guess my favorite bird would be the bluebird and the goldfinch. And I'm not sure why, but I just really like those two birds.
I like both of those too. Those are good choices. Okay, and then I think the last person needs to, Olivia. Hello, Olivia joined us. Miss Olivia Dangler, would you like to share your favorite bird?
Yeah, sure. Hello, everybody. Olivia, Peter, everybody on here. I've been keeping track of my emails and catching a few questions and listening to your class here too. Yeah, good question, Rachel. I like how you started off the class with everybody's favorite bird. Mine would be the kingfisher. I just love just the bright colors that they have. They just are really unique to me with their feathers and their coloration, like I said, and they like water too. So that would be my pick.
They're really cool. That's a good choice. Most people forget that they exist and they're just big chatterboxes. I love hearing them when I'm kayaking. So, okay, did I miss anyone that joined or I accidentally didn't mark off your name? Did I miss anybody? Send it to the chat. If I did, please call me out. Okay, so I'll wait on Alex to tell me if anybody's coming in, but we're gonna go ahead and move on from introductions. Thank you guys for doing that for me and for the rest of your classmates. So I guess I need to introduce myself. So this is going to be my way of introducing me. This was me in college a few years ago, 4 years ago. I've lost track of time. I got into birding pretty much in college. It was not something that I was super interested in growing up. When I was younger in middle school and high school, I was really into livestock and farm animals. I was going to be a farmer or something along those lines. And then in college, I discovered ornithology, which is the study of birds, and herpetology, which is the study of reptiles and amphibians. And I fell in love with both of those, and now I work for the department. In my ornithology class, which is what these pictures are right here, we misnetted birds, and I got the chance to hold them while we put little tiny metal bands on their ankles and took measurements of them for different studies that my professors were involved in. And this day really solidified like how much I liked birds and like to learn about them and talk to other people about them. So I'm super excited that I'm going to be teaching this class with you guys. I've been with the department since 2017, early 2017, so almost 4 years now. Right now I work at the Salado Wildlife Education Center in Frankfurt, but I've been with R3 before with Olivia and Becky Wallen as an R3 specialist teaching field to fork and things like that to adults. So I have a pretty wide range of education and background as far as teaching goes, preschool all the way up to adults. So anybody that will listen, I will talk to them. So that's enough about me. Alex is making a face. Next thing. So, as you guys probably know, we shared some pre-class resources for each class that you guys decided to take this weekend. I already talked to Leia. She jumped on first, and she said that she did get a chance to set up her binoculars, and she was really pleased with doing that because she didn't know that that was even a thing you were supposed to do with binoculars. And to be totally honest, I didn't know it either up until about 6 to 8 months ago. So I was birding with blurry binoculars and I thought it was just me. So I thought that that was one of the most important things to know about birding specifically was just your binoculars. Let me show you. These are mine. You guys probably saw them in the video. I've had them for three years now. And no dings, no dents, no scratches. They do the same thing they did 3 years ago. These things have a pretty good lifespan. Does anyone have any questions or concerns about setting up your binoculars or anything about them? Did everybody get a chance to do that?
Mm-hmm.
Tia, Laura, everybody shaking their head yes? Good deal. Awesome. That video took me way too long to make, to be totally honest with you. So I'm really glad that you guys got some utilization out of that. Okay, so the sheets I added, I had just like a pre-class what to expect sheet. I asked you guys to bring your field guide if you had one. It was recommended, but not required. Okay, Tia, I see you holding yours up. Great. So some people have them, some people don't. If you have one, can you drop a yes in the chat for Alex so I can get an idea? I have a couple of field guide activities that I wanted to do with you guys, but if only a few of you have them, I don't want to make the rest of you sit there. So we'll see what that looks like and go from there. But as you know, field guides are pretty important to birding, especially if you are starting out a total newbie beginner, which that's what I did. So we got 3 so far. Okay, good. So you don't have to have a physical field guide. Sorry, I'm from Fayette County. Okay. A basic one, I have one, but it's packed away. That's okay. Yes, got to go grab it. Sierra, run. Okay, so good. A few of you have them, which is great. So we'll do the activities we have because you guys will get some benefit out of that, hopefully. And then I gave you a sheet that I made and pulled some stuff from Cornell Lab of Ornithology about bird shapes. So when I was starting out birding, one of the biggest helpful things for me was learning how they're shaped, how each family of birds is shaped, because believe it or not, they're all shaped differently. They all look like birds, they act like birds, and they talk like birds, but they all have a different shape. And we'll go over that a little bit more later, but I wanted you guys to have that so you could have a little bit of a working knowledge of what we're looking for, because a lot of the times when you see something, you see it for a second and then it's gone. So we're going to talk about some tips on how to handle that. And I just want to let you all know there are more birds than what I put on that sheet, but for today's purposes, I narrowed it down for you guys. I don't think I included ducks or waders or anything like that because that's more advanced stuff. I didn't start learning that for about 6 to 8 months after I picked up birding. So maybe next year I can do an advanced birding class and you guys can come back and we'll see what we talked about. Okay, so since you guys didn't have any questions about binoculars, first thing we're going to talk about is field guides. Now, if you don't have one, this is going to be really beneficial to you so that you can decide which one you want to get. I have a lot of examples here with me, and I'll show you guys some, but there are a lot of different types. I have 6 different types just on this slide, and there are way more than that. What you need to think about when you are thinking about buying a field guide is size. So a lot of people want something smaller and more compact. Tia's was pretty small. Hers was a good size. Yeah, so hers is small, compact, that's easy on the go. The one that I use is a little bit bigger, but I like big pictures so I can see detail. So mine's a little bit bigger. It's bigger than my head, but I can throw it in. I usually take a backpack with me when I go out anyway, so I have it with me. There are different types of field guides. So they organize each field guide about the same, but a little bit different. So when you're looking for your field guide, you need to decide if pictures of birds or drawings of birds. And I have pictures versus photos written here. Sorry, guys. I meant pictures versus drawings of birds. Which one is going to be more beneficial to you? So pictures of birds are great because it's exactly what it's probably going to look like in front of you because somebody took a photo of it. The problem with photos is that the lighting can be off, the coloration can be a little bit off. Maybe the bird is turned just slightly to the side to where you can't see the perfect angle of every feature of that bird. Drawings, okay, so I prefer drawings of birds, and that's what my Sibley's guide is right here. These are drawings, they're not photos taken by somebody. They're an artist's rendition of what this bird. This is the ideal image of the bird. It's the perfect lighting, it's the perfect angle, it's got all the things you need to see to be able to identify on it. But there are a lot of people that prefer photos, and that is okay. But for me, I am a drawing gal myself. That seems to work better for me for a bird that I don't know and I'm trying to identify. Now, then when you get to that, you got to narrow it down a little bit further into East, West, or North America. For you guys, I'm going to highly recommend that you get an Eastern Birds of the US guide because that's narrowed down about 50% of the North American birds. If you get a guide that's all North American birds, you're going to have to do a little bit more flipping than you would with a smaller one, and that's okay. If you're gung-ho like me and you want a bird in Colorado, then buy the big one. Get one with all the birds in it, and that'll give you a working knowledge of all the birds. But when you're buying them, you got to be careful because if you're not paying close attention, I've done this. This is mine. I have proof. I accidentally bought the Sibley Birds West because I wasn't looking for East versus West. I was just looking for a bird guide, but it paid off because now I bird out West. I travel a lot, so I do use this, but this one has Eastern North American birds on it. So just look for that as well when you're purchasing your field guide. We'll go over a few options. Sibley is one of my favorites, and it's a lot of my coworkers' favorites. Most of my coworkers use Sibley or Peterson's, and those are both my favorite guides. Kaufman makes really good guides as well. National Geographic, which you can see the picture on the slide right there, as well as the Kaufman one. And then you're gonna have your small guides, okay? So your small guides are gonna look similar to this. If you look real close, that says birds of land between the lakes. So this is really specific to a small-ish area in Kentucky. These are really beneficial if you go on trips with your family, if you go on trips by yourself and you want a bird while you're there, pick one of these up. They sell them at most of the state parks, and then they have them at a lot of rest stops as well. It's a foldable one, so you just open it up and it's got all the birds you're likely to see in that area on it, and then it's got more on this side. So this is thin, it's really light, you can put it in your pocket and carry it with you. So I recommend these for short day trips in specific areas if you can find them. And then of course, your OG Audubon book. So Audubon, great, 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 great. I love these. These are pictures. So here's a good example of a picture. So there's a shadow on the bottom of this bird. In a drawing, that shadow would not be there. So that's why I use those Sibleys right there. And then you can narrow your field guides down even further to specific types of birds. This right here, look, okay, first of all, look how thick this is. This is incredibly thick, and all it is warblers. We're not gonna go over warblers today because that would take me 48 hours to get through every single warbler that we might see here and all the different breeding versus non-breeding plumages. So these are beneficial. They have them for ducks. They have them for raptors only. I believe I have my, oh, this is just a basic. Yeah, this is a concise field guide. They call this one concise. It's nice and thin, and it's just got your basic birds in it, nothing too crazy, just a real quick, concise guide. So this is good for beginners as well. Lastly, phone apps. Most of you guys probably have a smartphone, whether it be iPhone, Android, Samsung, whatever it may be. There are lots of app choices. And I have, on the very last slide, I have a few extra resources. But if you look, the little app icon that has the bird flying on it on the PowerPoint screen, that is Merlin Bird ID, and that is made by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. And if you guys learn anything today, it is that the Cornell Lab of Ornithology is where you should go for anything. They have overview of each bird you can find in North America. They have identification information, life history, where it lives, what it likes to eat. They even have backyard tips for your backyard birds. So if you're a bird feeder and you like to bring birds into the curtilage of your home, that is a great resource for that as well. It tells you what they like to eat, what kind of bird feed they're attracted to. Are they social? Are they not social? Will they compete? Will they not? Things like that. So if you do anything today, download that app, 100% download it. We are not going to get to go over many bird calls today. We can talk about them a little bit, but I don't have them embedded in this PowerPoint, but that's really good for bird calls as well. Any kind of call for every bird on that app is on there. Okay, field guide tips. So this is some stuff that I've learned or I've read about that I feel like is pertinent information that for you guys to know about. Field guides are big and overwhelming. Before you start birding, really familiarize yourself with that guide. When I got my first field guide when I was in college, right after my ornithology class, I picked one up and I spent about a week actually reading it, going through the first few pages, figuring out the layout, figuring out the different components of each page. There's lots of tiny details in these field guides. They have breeding and non-breeding plumage for males. So when they're breeding, they're bright and pretty for the most part. And then when some of them are not breeding, they're dull and drab. So they have both of those side by side so you can compare. So familiarize yourself with that. Range maps are probably one of the most beneficial things that you can look at in a field guide or on your app. The pictures you see here, I believe I have hold on, my chat box is blocking me. Oh, a Carolina wren. Is that April that likes those? Yeah, April, there's your wren. If, for instance, you see a wren in your backyard, you know it's a wren because of the way it's shaped, but you don't know which one it is. You can narrow down those birds by the range map. If it's the middle of the summer, it's likely going to be a Carolina or a house wren, but in the winter time, we get a winter wren. So it's not, you can automatically cross that winter wren out because it's not in season. So if you look on this picture of the range map at the bottom, you can see where it has the different colors key. So your year round is going to be that purple for the app, and these colors change from guide to guide, so keep that in mind as well. Always look at your key. And they're pretty much only year-round birds. They don't really migrate, so we don't see that migration coloration on there. So definitely look at the range maps when you're trying to identify a bird you have just seen. When you are out birding and you see a bird that you don't know, it flits past you and you're like, what is that? Do not pull out your field guide yet. You need to take a beat, take a few seconds, and mentally gather as many details about that bird as you can, because it's gonna fly away, okay? It's gonna fly away, they always do. Use your field guide after it leaves. This has been really helpful for me because I'll see something and just pull out my guide, and I'm so enthralled in looking and flipping through the pages that I'm no longer paying attention to the details on the bird. The only impression I have of that bird is the first 2 seconds. Take 5 or 6 or 7 seconds, as long as it'll sit still, get those details in your mind so that when it flies away, then you pull out your guide and look at that for help. Also, behavior. Behavior of birds is usually a big giveaway. Maybe all you saw was a gray bird in the tree, a small gray bird, but it was doing something weird. Its tail was doing this. The whole time it was sitting there, its tail was going boom, boom, boom. Not all birds do that. Not every single bird does that. So that automatically is a key. that's a behavior identifier right there. And that bird probably was an eastern phoebe, which we're not going to go over them today because they're not as super common as some of the other ones are. But that any sort of behavior, if it's flying strange, if it's wing beats or weird, that's another good way to look. And believe it or not, all of this is in most field guides. You'll just have to look at the little keys at the bottom. Any questions so far? Type them in the chat. Alex is waiting if you have any. If not, I will move on. Okay, so if you have your guide, so Tia, Sierra, a lot of you that do have them, go ahead. We're going to do a little exercise, okay? This is just gonna help you familiarize yourself. Most field guides are organized by bird order and family. I'm not going to teach you guys Latin. Hold on, we have a question. Go ahead.
What's the name of the phone app?
What's the name of the phone app? Merlin, so M-E. Alex, will you type that in for me? He's gonna type it in for me, just so you guys have it in front of you, because the way I'm speaking, it may not be clear. Merlin Bird ID. And I put the logo on there so you guys could match it up in the App Store.
Spell that.
M-E-R-L-I-N.
Bird app.
B-R-I-D. Okay, so we're not going to talk about taxonomy. That's a lot. Latin is a lot, as you guys know, I'm sure. So don't worry about that. That's what your shape guide is kind of for as well. I put the common names on there. Do we have any more chats? No, okay. So most of them are organized by taxonomy, but some are not. Some are organized by color. So there is a field guide specifically for Kentucky that is only organized by color. And we're going to do a little bit of that today by learning, because I actually learned pretty well by categorizing them like that, like color, things like that. And I know some people do too, so we're going to do that a little bit. So I want you to open your field guides and find which page the corvid family starts on. And I picked corvid because it is one letter away from the reason we are doing this virtually today. So find that and then type it in the chat, whatever page, type in the field guide you have and what page it starts on. So a hint for you guys, corvids are crows and jays. So your book may have it written as crows and jays instead of corvids. So when you're done with that, type it in. If you don't have a guide, sorry, just hang out.
What about on the app? You find it on the app?
Yeah, you can find it on the app if you want. Go ahead and find it on the app if you've downloaded that. Alex is in the process of downloading Merlin Bird ID right now. Sierra, you have the color one. Would you mind holding that up so that everyone can see? Because that's the only guide I forgot to bring today. I totally forgot to bring it, and that's the one I really wanted to grab. Everyone, can you see Sierra? She's holding up this guide. This is a really cool guide. At first, when I first picked it up, I was like, I don't know about this. It seems too simple. But honestly, simple is good when you're first learning. It's a really good one to pick up, and it's a good price too. So page 15, thank you, Sierra. Awesome. Awesome, awesome. Okay. Take some more time, and I'll find mine as well. Let's see. But I have a little bit of an advantage because I know this very well. Yep. That was to just you, Alex. Okay. What is the name of Sierra's book? Sierra, could you type in the full title of your book into the chat for everyone to see, please? Kathy was wondering, she didn't get a good look at it. Thank you, I appreciate it. when you have found your Corvid page, so no rush, but when you have found it, go ahead, we're gonna switch gears a bit and we're gonna go to the Raptor side of things and find which page the peregrine falcon is on. Then I want you to type in one of the identifiers on that page. So there are lots of things. There probably will be arrows pointed to different parts of the peregrine. Just type in anything that would tell you that it's a peregrine falcon. Okay. So if you need an example, I went ahead and typed mine in. I typed in an identifier that Sibley's has pointed out on the peregrine falcon. Oh, wait. Okay. Let's see. April, did you have a field guide? I didn't see if you said you had one or not.
No, I have one, but it's packed away.
Okay, that's right. Okay. Okay, good deal. And for those of you.
Yeah, I'm downloading the app now, though.
Oh, cool, cool, great. Okay. All right. Cynthia, did you have one?
No, unfortunately.
Okay, no big deal, no big deal. Sorry for having you sit there. All right, a few more seconds. Let's see, what do we got in the chat? Tia, okay, larger. Yeah, that black mustache, great. That's really what I wanted you guys to see, was that mustache on that bird. That's really, makes it really obvious, and that's gonna be for most falcons. Okay, so we'll go ahead and move on. Oh, uh-oh. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to talk about exactly what to look for. When I keep saying identifiers, 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 what I'm talking about are field marks. So the things that stand out on the bird. The diagram I have here is just a quick little appropriate terminology guide. So when you're out and say you're with a friend or you're with your son, daughter, husband, whoever you're with, you can say these identifiers out loud. So for instance, the blue jay, he has a crest or a crown. So those are two good things to know, is that crest right there. Maryland app and the eBird app, both are from Cornell. Okay, April, I'll go ahead and answer your question since you just typed it in. I'm gonna talk a little bit about eBird later. They're both by Cornell, yes. Merlin is more for identifying birds, hearing the sounds, seeing the range maps. eBird is more for reporting sightings. So once you really get into it and you're potentially chasing down a rare bird, you're looking for a certain warbler, a black-throated warbler, okay? You're looking for something like that. You would go on eBird and you could find people that have seen that in a certain area and go to that place. And that is mostly what eBird is used for. Good question. So these field marks, you'll see why we need these in the next slide. But when you're describing this to somebody or describing it to yourself, it's good to know these terms. So breast and belly are different. Rump and back are different. And you'll see later why this is important on the examples I have. So different field marks could be stripes. It has a striped breast. It has spots on its back. Different patterns, so barring, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, or colors. So the blue jay is blue, has a blue crest, a blue back, gray, whatever. So that's those are things you need to know in order to start birding. Next. Okay, so this is funny. I have always loved this diagram. It describes this so perfectly. To other people, colors are red, brown, gray, blue, black, but to birders, they are not. If you go to a hot spot for birding and you're around other birders, you're gonna get a good taste of this real quick. You'll, and I'm bad about this. I'll say, oh, like for robins, for instance, I'll say, oh, it's got a brown breast and belly. No, it does not. It has a rufous breast and belly. And if you look, these colors are all very, very similar, but they're just different enough to matter, okay? Just different enough. So gray is different than blue-gray, for instance. Those are two very different colors. All right, so we're gonna look at some examples, and this, you're gonna utilize your chat box again if you want. I want you to look at both of these birds. One of them, most of you probably know. The other one, probably not, and that's okay. I want you to point out field marks on these birds. Just whatever you see first, whatever comes to mind on both of them, okay? We'll call the one at the top bird 1, the one at the bottom bird 2. So you can just type in bird 1, I see this, bird 2, I see this, and I'll read them out as they come in. Bird 1, white around the eye, very good, that's a good one. Bird 1, red breast and belly, yep. Bird 2, crest. Bird 1, no crest. Yeah, he has a little bit, he's got a little bit of a thing going on there. Bird 1, I see your rufous belly and breast. Yeah, rufous, I see you, Kathy. Okay, bird 2, whitish beak, yep. So that beak is a lot different. Bird 2, black on the wings and feathers, yep. This is perfect, you guys. You guys really got this, okay. So I will go ahead and show you all the field marks that I had in mind for you to look at. Maybe, come on, there we go. Okay, so this bird at the top, black head and yellow bill, rufous colored breast and belly, blue body on the bird at the bottom, black on the wings. Let's see, what else do I have? Can't see, some black on the wings, silver bill. Okay, so now that we have these key identifiers, what do we think these birds are? Go ahead and tell me what you think they are. I think at least one of you will probably get the first one. Okay, April, Anita, Tia, Rachel, you guys are all right about the robin. So I've gotten 2 guesses on the bottom one being a bluebird. Good guesses, but that is not correct. And we will go over bluebirds in a minute. If you want to look at your field guide, okay, we got it. Anita, she said indigo bunting. That is correct. Very good. Melissa, bunting, perfect. Very good. Okay, so you have them. They're so, Renee, bunting, awesome. Okay, so they're incredibly vibrant in person. We have a few birds that are blue, and then we're gonna go over them. But this one is the most vibrant. You will not miss this bird, I promise. You'll see it and be like, I know that immediately. Okay, next. Okay, questions so far. We'll take a bit of a beat. Any sort of questions on field marks, field guides, binoculars, tips, anything like that? Type them in real quick. If not, I'll just keep on going. This has flown by. We have already gone 45 minutes, so. And if you can't think of a question now, but you have one later, type it in as we go, or you can email me after class. That is totally fine. So we will keep going. Oh, we got a notification. What do we got? How long do they typically last? Mine are almost 20 years old. Yeah, I've had mine for 3 or so years now, and I don't plan on getting a new pair unless I absolutely have to. I think they have a pretty long life. Most of them actually come with a lifetime warranty. They are built to last for the most part. As I said earlier, brand really isn't important. As long as they feel good in your hands and they're comfortable around your neck, if you're going to be wearing them for long periods of time, that's the most important part. But I wouldn't be surprised if you could get 10 more, 15 more years out of those binoculars. Okay, Renee, is the bunting what people here call the berry bird? I don't know. If I had to guess what a berry bird would be, I would say it's a cedar waxwing. And I don't have that in the slide because not a lot of people get a chance to see those birds often unless you have berry bushes and berry trees, or you go to a place that has berry bushes and trees. So that's a good question. I think cedar waxwing, but I don't know for sure. Why do I see bluebirds and indigo buntings mostly in the morning? That's a good question. I would say that, now I'm not an avian biologist, okay? Just gonna put that disclaimer out here real quick. This is a hobby for me. I do have education in it, but I don't have a master's or anything like that in this. Oh, you're welcome, Anita. But I would say that because they are mainly bug eaters, when the bugs first come out in the morning, that may be why you see them so early, is because they're catching bugs super early in the morning. Bluebirds really like mealworms. So if you have a mealworm feeder in your yard, as long as the grackles and the starlings don't push out your birds, that's a good way to attract bluebirds to your yard. Okay, Renee, I saw a teeny blue-green bird the size and color of a hummingbird, but it flew like a regular bird. The people on the street said they were berry birds. I guess, so indigo buntings are bigger than hummingbirds. I guess that would be what that was, because as far as coloration goes, that's going to be your brightest blue bird and probably the smallest as well. I'll do some research on that for you, Renee, and see if I can find anything. Laura, what time would be the best to go birding? That's a great question, and I cannot believe I didn't put that in this PowerPoint. Early morning. Birds are generally active in the morning, and that's because the temperatures are a little bit cooler, everything's coming out, they have a little bit of time to eat. Also, the predators have gone to bed. So their owl counterparts are kind of winding down, so they're getting up early. They get up early to call for mating, all sorts of stuff like that. So when I go birding, I try to, when I was in college, I was getting up at 5:30 a.m. to get the good stuff. I can't do that anymore. I'm so tired. I usually try to get up by 7:30 or so. If I can hear them calling, I need to get outside. Like, you got to go. Because calling, you can at least go to them and see who's calling. It gives you a little bit of an advantage because you can hear them as well. That's a really good question. Definitely early morning. Now, if you're looking for owls, you're going to want to go in the evening, right when it gets dark. And we'll talk more about that. Very good questions, you guys. Really appreciate those. If you have binos and they bother the back of your neck, try the crooked horn bino system. Love mine, never. Is that the, April, if you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to explain that, because I'm not sure what that is.
Basically, it's a system that you slip through your arms and then slip it over, and it's always at your chest.
Yes.
So it's adjustable. This one's my husband, so it's a little bit longer, but I mean, it doesn't just pull on the back of your neck. It distributes the weight a little bit more throughout the back.
Yeah, those are great, like a harness system almost. And I know a lot of hunters use those. That way they're totally hands-free and they don't have to worry about something pulling on their neck if their gun strap is across as well. That's a really good tip. Yeah, if you have a bad neck or bad back or anything and don't like that, you can definitely get a harness for your binoculars, and they're not really expensive. I used to have one, but it broke. Okay, so now we will move on. Let's see, okay, next. Okay, now we're going to learn how to identify some birds. We're going to learn about specific birds. We're going to go through our common birds. I sent that pre-class survey out to you guys. And thank you so much for all the responses. Like, I was not expecting everyone to respond, and you guys did. So props to you all. You did your homework. So first things we're going to talk about are our little invasive species here. Now, a lot of participants did not know exactly how to identify these right off the bat, and that's okay. You're going to learn, and you will never forget these birds because there's not a whole lot that looks like either one of them. These are both invasive, but they're permanent. They were introduced a long, long, long time ago. The European starling, which is the one on my right, I think it's on your guys' right as well, the black shiny bird, they were introduced, I believe it was 1890. New York, back in, oh, hold on, I think I got somebody wanting to admit into the room. One second, okay, she's joining. Back in 1890 or so in New York City, there were a group of people who were obsessed with Shakespeare. I mean, obsessed with the guy, right? Shakespeare wrote about birds. He wrote about European starling, and he wrote about some other birds. One day, these enthusiasts decided that America should revel in the joy of the birds that Shakespeare wrote about, and they released, I believe, 100 starlings in Central Park. And every starling we have in the US today is a descendant of those birds that were released all that time ago. So that's how they got here. These birds, you can't eradicate them. They're here, they've established. We're always gonna have them. So you may as well learn how to identify them, what they are. The first one is the house sparrow. This guy, and if you look, I have two pictures of the same bird. The two on the top are the males and the two on the bottom are the females. And I'm only including the females on here because you'll see a lot of them. The house sparrow, he is smaller. He's a small sparrow-sized bird. That chestnut eye stripe starting from behind the eye back, and his black spot from the beak to the eye, the black going from the beak to the chest. It's kind of a black streak, and then he's gray underneath and like a nice soft brown on the back. Once you see him, you'll know exactly what it is. We do have a lot of sparrow species that are native to Kentucky, and we're not going to go over them today because they are so hard. I can barely even differentiate some of them. So this is going to be the only sparrow we go over today, but he looks different than any other sparrow we have. You won't confuse him with any other sparrow. Now the female, you might. The easiest thing on her is going to be that light eye stripe. Her wings and back kind of look like the male. And generally speaking, females are going to be more dull. They're across the board, our female species for birds are going to be more dull. And the males are brighter because they have to compete to breed. So that's why they look the way that they do. For the most part, is that they're competing for the female's attention. So our starling over here, he is really iridescent. When they are in their full adult plumage, the light bounces off of them. They can look purple, green, blue, all these different pretty colors. They have those little speckles. If they're a female, they're more speckled than the male is. And the yellow beak, that pointy yellow beak is a dead giveaway. So if you see a bird that looks like this, he doesn't have a yellow beak. He's not iridescent. He doesn't look like those birds, and that's because he's an immature starling. So starlings can look a lot different based on what age they are. This bird is immature, so he's not quite to be a year old yet. And they'll look like that until they molt again into that really nice bright plumage. So look for the pointy bill, and if you look right under the wing on that bird, those speckles are there. They're just not all over the bird yet. The immature starling trips up a lot of people, and that's why I included him in there for you guys. Okay, on to our backyard basics. Our natives, the ones we're all gonna see, every single one of you knew what a cardinal was. They are the state bird. They're on our logo. They're right there. They're on everything, okay? Most people know what a cardinal is. There's the female. Some people don't know that the females are a different color, and that's okay, because not every bird has a different female coloration. So for instance, the blue jay, all of you guys' favorite bird, he and she are gonna look the same pretty much across the board. They look the same. And even the immature birds look like blue jays. They may be kind of messy and not as bright and colorful and blue, but they still look like blue jays. Both of these birds have crests, huge crests that they show off constantly. You guys know mostly how to identify blue jay, but that blue color, the barring on the tail, and then the barring on the wings with the gray chest and breast is a dead giveaway that you're looking at a blue jay. Next is the American robin. A lot of you guys knew this one from earlier, and you guys know the identifiers on that guy. And there he is a juvenile. Okay, so an immature bird, not a juvenile, but an immature bird. So just a little bit more drab. And that's going to be the theme here, is that they're just going to be a little bit more drab until they molt and get those fancy, colorful feathers in. All right, this next one is the mourning dove. And most of you have probably actually heard this bird, whether you realized it or not. They do the ooh, ooh, almost sounds like an owl during the daytime. And a lot of people are like, what's that owl cooing all day long? It's a mourning dove. They're called a mourning dove because when they're calling, it almost sounds like they're mourning. It's a very sad, solemn call. You'll find these guys perched on power lines all the time. If you look up and you see how plump that bird is compared to the other ones, he is plump. These birds have big, fat bodies. They have a lot of meat on them, which is one of the reasons why you are allowed to hunt them in the state of Kentucky in season. Their heads are really tiny. So if you see a bird sitting on a power line with a big, fat, plump body and a tiny head, it's probably going to be a mourning dove. And lastly, the grackle, the common grackle. And a lot of you guys know this one if you have bird feeders, because they can kind of be bullies. Blue jays and grackles tend to take over the feeder space. They're bigger, they're badder, there's a lot of them, they're social, so they can gang up on other little birds. The male that we're looking at right here, he's iridescent as well. So some people can confuse him with the starling, but remember the starling has that bright yellow beak. This guy's a little bit bigger than the starling as well. The bright blue and green head, and then the rest of the body is mostly black or brown and drab. And this is going to be your female. She's just not as bright. She's just not as bright as the male, but still that same body shape, the long tail, the dark beak, and the white eye. That white eye, dead giveaway. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about are blackbirds versus crows. So on this slide, I have 4 different birds. I'm not going to tell you, you should know one because we just went over it. The other 3 you might not know, but one of them is a crow. So let's see. Oop, that's not right. Which one is the crow? So your field marks for a crow: a heavy, straight bill, all black all over the bird. Black bill, black body, black legs, and it's big. These birds are twice the size of the other birds we're looking at. So go ahead and type it in the chat which one you think it is. You can just tell me middle, right, bottom. Anita, top right. Tia, right. April, upper right. Laura, right. Kathy, top right. Okay, yeah, you guys got that. That was too easy. I thought I might get you. Yeah, that's it. That's the American crow. So crows are also incredibly loud. They can be social as well. They usually, when you see 1, you see 2, you see 3 maybe. Oops. I did not mean to do that. My chat. Okay, sorry guys, hold on. I can't get this chat to go away. There we go. Okay. The other 2 birds on this screen that you don't know, does anyone know what these are before I tell you? What is it, Tia? Do you know?
Bird. Yep.
Oh, okay. Anita and April both say red-winged blackbird, so that's correct. Does anyone know what the bottom left bird is? It's not a trick. This is the male. He's his own species. He's not a female of the other ones. Anybody have any idea? This one's hard.
Is it a cowbird?
Who said that?
Melissa.
Yes, this is a brown-headed cowbird. Nice, Melissa. That's impressive. Most people don't know this one because they look like other blackbirds. You don't notice that he's different until you get closer or you hear them. They have a metallic sound to them. They sound almost robotic sometimes. They kind of sound, it makes you stop and double take what you're looking at. That's going to be your brown-headed cowbird. Those guys are also interesting because they're nest parasites. At work, I get some calls usually. People are mad. They'll set up a bluebird box or they'll set up a nesting box for a chickadee or something. And the cowbird, what they do is they're a nest parasite. So they will go into a established nest with eggs. they will actually push out the eggs onto the ground and break them, lay their eggs, and let the bird that originally laid the eggs raise their babies. They're the worst parents of the bird world. They're lazy. So a lot of people will call and be like, what can I do? What can I do? And you can't do anything. It is laws of nature. They're like that for a reason. And every bird that we've talked about so far, besides the starling and the house sparrow, are protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act. No harm can come to them. You cannot collect their body parts, so their feathers you're legally not supposed to have, because we don't know how you got that feather. You could have killed it on accident or on purpose or whatever, but we don't know how you got it, so that's that law. Okay, these are going to be our harder backyard birds, and I have that in quotations because they're not really that hard. People just don't know them, and that's okay because we're going to learn about them. So the first one, Carolina wren. I know some of you guys know this one. I love these birds. They're little plump things. Nothing else in the bird world in Kentucky is shaped like this. So let's go over some identifiers on this bird. We've got white eye stripe on him, a barred tail. If you look at that tail, it's brown, but there are black bars all the way down it. Wrens also, this picture isn't really good, but the tail usually stands upright. So this is the bird, his tail is usually like this, not like this. It's usually standing straight up, okay? And then they have a sharp, down curved bill. It's just ever so slightly curved downwards. And that's gonna be how you identify that Carolina wren pretty easily. Next is this guy. These are one of my favorites. I think they are some of the cutest birds that we have here in Kentucky, and they're called a tufted titmouse. They're called a tufted titmouse because they have that little tuft on their crest. The blue jay and cardinal crests are way more pronounced, way flashier, but he does have one, and he's a little gray bird. So soft gray, he's a soft gray down his back, but white underneath. And if you look closely, right under his wing, you can see a rufous patch. Okay, it's a nice rufous color right under that wing. So if you were to raise that up and start flying, you got to look at that. That's a good way to tell that you're looking at a titmouse. And then the black pouch or black patch above the bill, just that little bitty black patch, the little tiny black bill, and the little tiny black eyes. These, however, can be easily confused with a couple of birds that we're going to talk about. And the first one I have here is a northern mockingbird. These guys are pretty common. There's another good picture of them if you guys didn't get a good look at the first one. So this picture of this northern mockingbird, he is comfortable. So when I say a bird is comfortable where he's sitting, that means that his feathers are kind of puffed out. They do that in the winter to stay warm. It helps insulate them. They do it when they're just chilling, when they're sleeping. But this is a better look at this bird. He's slicked down because he's flying. So they're not usually that plump. They're more of a slender bird. And if you look, his tail is as long as his body is. None of the other birds we've talked about have had a tail like that. They also have on the both sides of the outside of their tail, the feathers are white. And if you look at their wings, they have a white patch on each wing. And when they are flying with each wing beat, that white patch and the white tail, the white outer feathers is really, really, really obvious. So if you see a bird in flight that has a super long tail and those white patches, northern mockingbird most of the time. And they're bigger than the birds we're talking about right now. They're more of a grackle-sized bird. Let's see. Okay. White outer tail feathers. Next is, I'm trying to move my chat box around out of the way of the pictures. Okay. Next is the Carolina chickadee. These are tiny, tiny, tiny birds. And they're more often heard than seen. They make a lot of little chatter noises all around the feeders and the trees. They have a really obvious face. The black and white is super contrasting on these birds, whereas on the titmouse, it's a little more blended. So if you're looking at something with a super stark contrast with that black cap, black chin, and white face, that's going to be your Carolina chickadee. They have a pretty big head for their body size as well. Some people use that. If you see their head is pretty much as big as their body, you can call it a Carolina chickadee. I do get questions. I do want to talk about this real quick. Black-capped chickadees are another species of chickadees in the eastern U.S. Did somebody say they lived in eastern Kentucky? I can't remember. I thought I heard something. If you do, far eastern Kentucky, up in the mountains, we do have black-capped chickadees that I believe nest way far east. So when I say Carolina chickadees, the only chickadee species we have, I am kind of lying because we do have black caps. You just don't see them very often. And pretty much the only way to differentiate between the two is by sound. So if you live way far out and want to learn the difference, just learn up the songs of those two. Then we have another little black and